In this video, we will discuss adding proximity and standard break lines to a surface. If you would like to follow along with this video, please open the file 0504 Adding Proximity and Standard Break Lines to a Surface.dwg located in the training folder as discussed in the Working with This Dataset video. Proximity break lines are 2D polylines that initially have an elevation of 0, and each point on the polyline, the X, Y, and Z, will be calculated based on the closest surface point. Now, if you already have existing survey points or a point file that you've used to import into the surface, then obviously it'll grab that X, Y, and Z. Before we add break lines to our surface, let's go ahead and turn the automatic update on in our surface. In the Prospector tab, Surfaces category, let's right-click on EG Surface and turn on Rebuild Automatic. That way, whenever we add break lines, we'll see the contours and triangles update automatically. First, let's go ahead and zoom into the 2D polylines that we created in the Creating Break Lines from Points video. So we first have this break line, just a standard old miscellaneous break line, and we'll expand the EG surface, expand the definition category, and right-click on the break lines category and select Add. It's always a good idea to give it a name, so I'll call this one Miscellaneous Break Lines, and change the type to Proximity. I'll click OK and select the break line, and notice how the contours update automatically. Again, the points, the elevations, are coming from the closest surface point, which in this case is, of course, our surveyed points. Let's go ahead and add in the 2D ditch line that we created previously. So here's that ditch line right there. And I'm going to select it first, because you can do this either way. And I'm going to right-click on break lines and choose Add. And we'll call this one Ditch. Again, change your type to Proximity. Click OK, and notice how the contours update automatically. If you want to view your surface as you add and change surface data, you can actually select a few of these objects here, and your surface, and go to the Multiple Contextual ribbon and select Object Viewer. And notice how I can actually zoom in and start to see how my surface is coming along. Press Escape to get out of the Object Viewer, and press Escape again to clear your selection set. So let's talk about standard break lines. So what are standard break lines? Standard break lines are 3D lines, such as 3D polylines or feature lines, where the XYZ coordinate of each vertex will be used in the actual surface. So you really do need to have the true elevation that you want to incorporate into your surface. Let's go ahead and add in some detention pond break lines that were located for us. We'll right-click on the break lines category again, select Add, and we'll call this one Detention Pond. Notice how I have done this individually. This allows you to organize your surface because you can then remove or turn on and off the different break line collections that you actually inserted into the surface. We'll leave the type set to standard, and because this is set to standard, you have a few options available to you. The two options are weeding factors and supplementing factors. And what do they mean? Weeding allows you to take out vertices based on a distance and an angle difference. So if you have too many vertices in a linear object, then you would want to actually take out some of those vertices if they're not necessary to be brought into the surface. This will make your surface a little bit smaller. Supplementing factors are very useful if, let's say, all you have is 2 or 3 points on a line and you want to actually increase the triangulation that occurs. So you can add in specific distances as well as a mid-ordinate distance for curves. The smaller the distance here, the more tight your triangles will be around curves. And that will actually help you with your triangulation. So I'm going to add in a distance of 5 and a mid-ordinate distance of 0.1. This will allow me to have nice tight triangles in the areas of the curves. I'll click OK, and I'll select the 2 break lines for this object. Hit Enter. And just like that, I now have my surface updated. Again, I could select all 3 objects, the surface and the 2 break lines. And if, let's say, I want to select even more to see what I've done here, I can select some of these objects as well as the break line, and right-click and go to Object Viewer. And this will allow you to see some of the updates to the surface. Selecting the break lines makes it easier to find the objects you want to see updated. Press Escape to exit Object Viewer and Escape to clear your selection set. This concludes this video discussing adding proximity and standard break lines to a surface.